Have you ever been into a bookstore and you're searching for that next good book to read? And you take it up and you read the back of the book to see what is it about. And from there you decide, I don't like this book, or I like this book, or I'll definitely give this book a read, right? Um that's been me. Sometimes I even look to the back of the book, read the last chapter, or read parts of the last chapter to see how it ended. Did it end on a good note? Would I be sad reading from beginning to end? Would it be uplifting? Would it be something I want to find out what happened that brought it to this end? For me, for 2023, the Bible has been that good book, that great book. I started the journey wanting to read from Genesis to Revelation, and there's an app for that that held me accountable to actually read every single day a portion until I got to the end. But long before I got to the end or Revelation, a lesson stood out to me, and that lesson was that I already know the end to this story, right? I know that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and in the end, that there will be a second coming, long before I reached to Revelation. This is how my story was written. My biggest challenge since leaving university is being employed. Within the first 2 years, I was not actively searching for a job as I was raising children. However, after joining the pool, it seemed like there was no luck, there was no blessing in the line of getting a job. Over time, I came to the conclusion that, hey, employment is not for me. I tried routes of being self employed, running my own business. Nothing seemed to be working. And every job I got was just for a short project, and I would do that and go back home for another 2 years before getting employed again. Fast forward to 2023, I was not searching for a job anymore as I had some medical issues I wanted to clear up. They were actively being an annoyance in my life, and I knew that if I went into a workplace in under such conditions, it wouldn't be pleasant. So I wasn't really actively searching for a job back in 2023. However, there was somebody in my corner asking for my resume. I applied, I gave them the resume. I'm like, what it is, If it happens, it happens. Then time passed again and he asked for my resume again. I'm like, okay, sure. Pass it on again. Not very enthused about it. But I was called for an interview, and when I went to the interview, I expressed that I wasn't willing to work on the Sabbath. I wasn't willing to do shift hours because I'm still raising children. I want to be present in their lives even though I am working. So the job that I applied for required shift, and I wasn't willing to do that. But I got a call nonetheless to with an offer to work for another short stint, 6 weeks while somebody was on leave. And I took the job anyways. I was like, 6 weeks and just work on money. I will have money during my birthday in October. Buy myself something nice, maybe take myself to dinner. I'll be able to do that for my birthday this year. But then while I was there, and I had like about 2 weeks left, someone from HR brought it to my attention that there are more openings on the notice board. Take a look and apply where I think I would be able to fit. When I checked the board, and when I tell you that almost when I checked the board and they were talking about the description and what would be required of me, when I looked at it, I started smiling at the board. Anybody past me would have thought I was a mad woman. But this is what happened. Everything on that board, job description and what would be required of me, is like I learned that skill at another institution. Something. At one point, I learned this here, that there, this here, that there. That's what it was, right through the time. And I was saying to myself, God, you are indeed writing my story. So even though I was annoyed, of course, over the years that I am just getting these short projects and everything, every single thing lined up, every single thing was telling my story for this job interview. So of course I applied. When I tell you, when I went to that interview, I walked in with such confidence because I knew I could do this. I knew that whatever questions they threw at me, I was able to say, when I was working here, I did that. When I was working there, I did that. So I went in there with great confidence, you know, and I stepped out the office. Out of the interview, it was very grueling. I mean, panel this interview with 4 or 5 people. It was nerve wracking, but because knowing that I was able to do what I can do, it calmed down the nerves. When I left that interview, the desk that I was,
Art.
the next day the boss was like, "They call you for the job yet?" I said, "No, not yet." I was like, "What are they waiting on?" He too had confidence that I would be able to do it because, of course, he worked with me. So he knew what I was able to do. He said to me himself that they actually came to him and asked him how he felt about me working with him, and he was expressing that I learned quickly and I was easy to work with and such and such. He was very enthused that he put in a word for me. And then the very next day I was called with the job offer, and they didn't even send me home at all. So I ended my stay at the first desk on the 6th of November, and on the 7th of November I stepped over into my new role. And so far I am loving it. I enjoy the interactions with the staff members. I enjoy the interactions with those who come to my desk for service. So I find myself in a role of customer service. However, I'm working a regular 9 to 5 and not a shift position. So I'm giving God thanks for that. There were spoilers throughout the process of reading the Bible because I've been going to church all the weeks, all the days of hearing persons share Bible stories and all of that. So I actually knew the end before I got to it. And that end was that there will be a second coming. My Lord and Savior will put an end to the misery, all the problems that we're going through in this world. But I forgot that in the end, everything will be restored. In the end, that there will be such a great restoration. And without the test, then where is the testimony? Without all the trials and tribulations and problems, or whatever word you want to use it, without them, we won't remember who our God is. We will get up every day just going about thinking we're doing it all on our own. So sometimes God He has to put things in place for us to say, "Hey, acknowledge me, remember me." Even though I waited so long, even though I was going through all that I was going through, the Lord was putting things in place for this very awesome opportunity. And I give God thanks every single day that I come to work. I ask the Lord to cover my desk. I ask Him to help me to remember my tasks for the day. I ask Him to let my interactions with others be pleasant. I find joy. I pray for every step of the way at work because I am constantly reminded that my God provided this, and it worked out in such a beautiful way for me to step over into the role without a break. So my encouragement to you is that God is writing your story, and in that story he means to prosper you, whether it's good health, whether it's finances, whether it's in family relations, whatever the case is, whatever you're going through, at the end of it, it will tie into the grand reveal. So don't worry about what you're going through. Ride the waves, pray through it, because in the end, your story is going to be beautiful. Your story is going to be worth sharing, and you will be reminded that you serve a mighty big God. So the journey will be rough, but rest assured that the journey means a stronger you, a more spiritual you, a you that walks closer with the Lord. So the next time you come up onto a problem, you think, God, get me through this and help me to remember it so that I will be even more grateful and even more willing to share my story so that it can encourage others.